Welcome home, folks. It's time for our annual Cedars Driver Certification course. We are so grateful you are here and are eager to get you set, ready to be driving around camp. We continue to be blessed by the fleet of vehicles gifted to Cedars in 2019. Let's continue the conscious care, maintenance, and safe driving practices with all these vehicles and their precious cargo, the campers. We start every activity at Cedars with an inspired, God-centered focus, or a MET. To lead off this training, I'll share a passage from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Chapter 8, Footsteps of Truth. Spirit is the ego which never dreams, but understands all things, which never errs, and is ever conscious. Spiritual man is the likeness of this ego. Man is not God, but like a ray of light which comes from the sun, man, the outcome of God, reflects God. During the next few minutes, we're going to explain the standards, procedures, and prepare you for driving camp vehicles. There are 5 subtopics to this video: driver requirements, Cedar driving basics, speed limits and fueling, handling accidents and incidents, and vehicle specifics. I'll announce when we are pivoting to a new vehicle certification classification. Once we have covered the vehicles you'll be driving, please stop the video and click the link in the description to take the driver certification quiz. Ready? Set? Let's go. Driver requirements. Before we hit the roads, we need to get into what the requirements are for Cedars drivers. All staff members must submit a photocopy of their driver's license, and we will take that and verify that you have a clean driving record. If there's anything we need to be alert to, please let me know regarding your driving record. We do background checks to meet our insurance requirements and ensure everyone driving camp vehicles meets this criteria. So, what vehicles can you be certified to drive? Well, that depends on your age, previous driving experience, and your program needs. We'll be covering 4 classifications of drivers: utility vehicles or mules, vehicles, which include pickup trucks, minivans, and SUVs, large vehicles, which include 15-passenger vans, minibuses, and the KUV, and the 72-seater bus. In order to drive the UTVs, otherwise known as the mules, you must be at least 18 years or older and have completed Part 1 of the behind the wheel portion of this course. To drive vehicles such as pickup trucks, minivans, SUVs, on and off camp property, you must be at least 19 years old or older with at least 2 years of driving experience. Please note, you are not allowed to drive campers until you are 21 years old with 2 years of driving experience. This means that if you're 19 or 20 or have not had your driver's license for more than 2 years, you are only certified to drive equipment and staff. There may be some programs that require an exemption from this rule. Please see Caitlin or Sam to assess the program needs, and they will take the necessary steps to gain approval. To drive a 15-passenger van, a minibus or bubble bus, and the KUV, you must be at least 21 years old and have 2 years driving experience and have completed Part 2 of driving behind the wheel portion of this course. To drive the 72-seater bus, you must be at least 25 years old and have a valid Class B commercial driver's license and have completed the 3rd part of behind the wheel portion of this course. Specialized vehicles such as the box truck and heavy machinery require additional training that Cedars will give on an as-needed basis. Do not drive any of these vehicles without permission and instruction from myself or a designated representative. Fleet introduction. Parents are entrusting Cedars staff with their children. All drivers on camp should be upholding that trust and looking out for campers. This includes campers in your vehicle and those around the camp. The primary responsibility of any vehicle driver is camper and staff safety. Earlier, I mentioned that Cedars has a relatively new fleet. In years past, we had well-loved stories and lots of fun names, quirks, and additional information on these vehicles. Through a generous donation, we have been able to seriously upgrade our fleet. We now have 17 mules, 6 minivans, 15 trucks, 2 SUVs, 5 15-passenger vans, 2 minibuses, a KUV, a box truck, and the 72-seater bus. Each vehicle will be assigned to programs and individuals at the start of each session by Caitlin Allen, our logistics coordinator. If you're assigned a vehicle and it doesn't meet the needs or the task that you're trying to accomplish, please let myself or Caitlin know. We have options to swap vehicles around and get you what you need. These vehicles are reliable and in incredible condition. Let's keep them that way for a long time. I ask that you treat the vehicles with the love and the respect that they deserve by being careful and thoughtful of the routes you take. Don't drive off into campsites or ditches. If you see low-hanging branches, please do not pull up underneath and scratch the paint. Let's use common sense and spatial awareness to preserve this fleet for as long as possible. Even though Cedars has a wonderful fleet, camp is first and foremost a place for everyone to enjoy nature and travel on foot whenever possible. We don't want camp to turn into a place where the adults whiz around busily in vehicles everywhere. Let's work together to reduce traffic around camp as much as possible and keep the roads clear for campers. When considering whether to use a vehicle or not, ask yourself, can this task be accomplished on foot? If you don't really need to drive in order to accomplish your task, please choose to walk and set the examples for others. Every time we keep a vehicle off the road, we save on gas and make Cedars more and more camper, horse, and environmentally friendly. Pre-flight. Please follow these steps when you're preparing to drive both on and off camp property. Let's walk through the steps together. Psst. That's a hint. The first step on your pre-flight checklist. Let's say you've been sent out on a mission. You've got the keys in your hand, you've loaded up all the tools and personnel you're transporting, and you're ready to hop in. What do you need to do before you hop in the seat? We must do a walk around of the vehicle. A walk around is the first step of your vehicle pre-flight checklist. The driver should walk around the entire vehicle looking for damage. That includes scrapes, dents, missing parts, etc. Checking the inflation and wear of each tire, searching for animals around under the vehicle, and assessing your surroundings. Are there any natural elements that you could back into? Is there any construction debris that should be removed before proceeding? If there's something that's not right, please let me know. Do not assume that Bill knows all. Most importantly, the walk-arounds are opportunities to slow down, breathe, pray, and refocus. To make sure the driving you're about to do is God-centered. Our daily tasks are not as important as the lives of the people we are working with, so there's really no reason to rush. We can move with purpose, but let's avoid moving in a rushed, frantic manner. We'd rather you be late to an assignment than get into an accident. Of course, we'd most prefer you to manage your time and then account for your transportation time as well. In years past, we've asked drivers to pop the hood and check the fluids. We are no longer asking you to do that. We have an assigned individual that will routinely inspect the fluids. Next step, hop in and turn on the vehicle. Listen for unusual noises and check the gas level. Do you have enough gas to get to where you need and back? There are a few safety supplies that should always be in the vehicle. This includes a second aid kit, a fire extinguisher, and the transportation safety pamphlet, which is stored in the glove box. When you are driving off camp, please make sure that you have at least 3 safety triangles. These are orange and reflective. It's time to buckle up and check that your passengers are too. Our current vehicles are all equipped with seat belts, and they should always be used. Just to reiterate, we ask that everyone in the vehicle is belted in when you are driving both on and off camp. Once the seat belts are on, relay necessary information and instructions to your passengers, including requesting them to remain seated. In a roller coaster attendant voice would be awesome, with arms and legs inside the vehicle and other instructions for safe travel. Take an extra second to double check that your cargo is secured and head out on your way. If you are backing out of a parking spot, do you need a spotter? Yes. While some of the vehicles have backup cameras, I ask that you not rely on them because relying on them is forming a bad habit. When we become too dependent on what the screen shows, we aren't really looking around, turning our head, or using our mirrors. We are focusing on a limited view of the area that we are backing into. I can tell you from experience with my truck that the backup camera often gets dusty and too dirty to see out of. You need to use your mirrors and look around as you're backing up. Your spotter is serving as a second pair of eyes that could alert you to a hazard that is out of your line of vision. Do you need a spotter and a mule? It depends on the situation, but if you have the option to ask a passenger or a friend walking by to spot you, do it. While we're talking about backing up, how far do we back up? Only as far as necessary to safely pull forward. We're now on the road. Thank you in advance for continuing to follow the pre-flight checklist all summer long. It helps develop great instincts and a high level of awareness as drivers. High traffic areas. Camp is continually growing, and as the camp has grown, we have noticed that the traffic patterns have changed. There's an increase in foot traffic between Dawn Lodge and Boys Camp because Care House is visited frequently in the middle, as well as down the hills and roads that branch out to the Cable Ski, Vital Lands Park, Kayak Cove, and Junior Leadership. It's extremely important to be alert and in tune to your surroundings as you are driving and taking extra precautions near these activity areas. What other areas do you think of as high traffic areas? If you're thinking about Girls Camp, Boys Camp, Care House, the Sports Center, the Aquatic Center, Dawn Lodge, the Mediterranean Inn, and the roads leading to the lake, the corrals, Mary's Chapel, and the maintenance area, you're on the right track. Speed limits. You'll be happy to know that the speed limits around camp have not changed. It's still 15 miles an hour and no dust in and around main camp in low traffic areas. 10 miles an hour when you are going around the cabins, on the road behind Mary's Chapel going towards Junior Leadership, and other high traffic areas. The speed limit for trails heading back to campsites is 5 miles an hour. But for the most part, the mules are the only vehicles of choice to get back to those. The other place that goes down to 5 miles an hour is when you are approaching North Star or Spec House and as you pass in front of Dawn Lodge. When you leave camp on the gravel road, the speed limit is 35 miles an hour and bumps up to 45 and 55 as you get on the paved roads heading into town. Please adhere to those limits and be safe as you're traveling. Slow down near neighboring farms with loose animals and laundry drying on the lines. If you notice someone is speeding around camp and you are able to, please utilize the Matthew code and give feedback to that driver. Remind them of the speed limits and the safe standards we are committed to as Cedars drivers. Share this feedback also with Caitlin and myself. We'll help keep an eye on the driver and inform their program director or supervisor as needed. If the speeding continues, driving privileges will be revoked. Hazards. There are many things that we need to be aware of driving around camp. Many of you are familiar with the hazards we've had in the past. The number one hazard are the people, the campers and counselors traveling from point A to point B. We also do a lot of road work, and the gravel can be unsettled under your tires, similar to driving on marbles. Some of the dirt roads are narrow. Avoid slipping off the edge when you are backing up. Again, remember that the gravel shifts. We have so much wildlife in our area. On camp, we have dogs and cats, horses of all sizes and attitudes, chickens and bunnies, beavers and woodchucks, squirrels and armadillos. The list goes on. And when you go off camp, our neighbors have black Angus and polled Herefords. Those are the red and white faced ones. Hogs, goats, sheep, and a lot of white-tailed deer. They're all out there and sometimes on the road, so be alert. You may not have thought of this, but darkness. Camp is one of the most beautiful places in the world, especially at night. When you get out and away from main camp with all the lights from the camps, cabins, and buildings, it's very, very dark. So be alert and use your headlights to safely navigate at night. Heavy rains. We've had some pretty heavy storms in my time here at camp. If your visibility is obscured, find a safe spot to pull off to the side of the road and wait for the storm to pass. High water crossings and flash floods are other hazards. If there's been an extreme amount of rain, roads and creeks can become impassable. If that happens while you are driving, please utilize common sense and adhere to the motto, turn around, don't drown. Cell phones and radios. Distracted drivers are dangerous drivers. Our policy is that texting is strictly prohibited while operating a camp vehicle, no matter where you are, on or off camp property. Anyone reported texting while driving will immediately have their driving privileges revoked for the season. Phone calls may be taken on speakerphone only if necessary. For the most part, you'll be traveling with a co-pilot. Your co-pilot should be in charge of your phone while you're driving to support your focus. In the event of an emergency where you need to use your phone, please do so to contact the help you need. Please answer the radio once you are pulled over or have your co-pilot answer for you. We are treating the radio in a similar fashion to our cell phones. You're doing great, folks. 3 more steps for the mule-only training. I'm going to briefly introduce how to fuel a mule. Mules are fueled at tank number 4, located in the maintenance area, on the backside of Q, near the canoe trailers. There is a gravity-fed tank and the only one you will use on camp property. During your behind-the-wheel training, an instructor will walk you through the process and give you the opportunity to practice. The first time you need to fuel up this season, please take a trained, confident buddy with you and inform your supervisor because they may want to join and cheer you on. We'll discuss fueling the other vehicles in further sections. Mules are not to be used for personal recreation. They are only to be used to support camp-related activities. Mules are not to be taken off camp property, especially at night, as they do not have taillights and are not licensed for public roads. Mishaps. 40%, so nearly half of all recreational vehicle mishaps are due to backing up. As a recreational camp, we fall into that statistic. In my experience here, backing incidents are completely preventable by utilizing a spotter. As much as we try to prevent mishaps by adhering to a safe, smart standards, if something happens, you can expect that the response you receive will be guided by the golden rule. If you hit something, get stuck, or cause some sort of damage, please demonstrate integrity and report the situation to myself or Caitlin, who will then report to me. Additionally, there is a QR code in each vehicle to complete an iReport sharing the details of the incident. This is valuable information used to address the issue and take the necessary steps to prevent future accidents. Again, own up to your mistake, report it, take the notes and follow-up steps to learn, and then apply the newfound knowledge. You can get a hold of myself, Caitlin, and Lou by radio. Channel 2 is the public channel, and Channel 3 is maintenance, or by cell phone. Post-flight. Let's walk through the post-flight steps together. What do you need to do at the end of the day or your drive? Park your vehicle in its designated spot. Do not park in the ever-ready vehicle parking spot. The designated parking locations for the mules are housekeeping mules, the red ones, are parked outside the laundry room. 2-seaters on one side and 4-seaters on the other. Be sure they're parked nice and snug and do not hang too far out into the road. The green mules are for maintenance and the leadership team and are parked in the lot in front of Ruthie's Roost. The care team mule must be backed into its parking spot at Care House, and the same goes for the director mules. They are backed into their spots to make heading off to an emergency safer. Historically, it has been proven that when you leave your windows down, it does rain. Please roll up all windows for dry seats in the morning. Leave no trace. Remove all personal items and trash at the end of each use. There are garbage bags in the glove boxes. Be mindful that we often have to swap vehicles around, and do not make your mess someone else's. It's the golden rule. Keys must be returned to the designated office, most likely where you got the keys earlier. Alrighty, if you're here for mule training only, stop here and click the link in the video description and take the quiz. Remember, you still need to complete the behind-the-wheel mule training before driving at camp. Vehicle drivers, buckle up. There's a few more details specific to driving pickups, minivans, SUVs, 15-passenger vans, minibuses, and the big buses. Let's talk about vehicle charging. 3 of our minivans are hybrid, which means they are electric vehicles to a degree. We have 2 charging stations located at camp. One is near North Star in front of the Trip Kitchen, and the second is located at the Junior Leadership Palace. The process is very simple. You plug the charger into the port on the vehicle, then select the green charge button on the charging box to begin charging. It's best to allow several hours for the car to fully charge, so plugging it in the night before a trip will always be a wise choice. Parking, part 2. Let's continue to talk about parking at camp. The staff parking lot is located on the west end of the sports center, and the specialist parking is along the side of the 4x6. Vehicles that are assigned to specific programs will also be assigned a parking location. The 15-passenger vans and minibuses used for shuttling and trips are parked behind the 4x6. Our practice is to back these vehicles into their spot at the end of the day to avoid potential backing collisions with heavy machinery that is frequently driving through those areas. Now here's some information on where not to park. Please do not park in the middle of the roads. thinking that you will be in the building for a quick second. In reality, we end up getting distracted or someone needs to talk to us, and now we've blocked the roadway, preventing people from moving. There's a lot of heavy equipment moving around camp. We have hay trailers and farm equipment on the roads in addition to our normal vehicular traffic. Again, please don't park in the middle of the roads. Please do not park or drive near the cabins or on grassy areas. We have just installed new wastewater treatment systems around camp, and the pipes are buried in the fields in front of girls' camp, boys' camp, the sports center, and junior leadership. The weight of a vehicle driving over septic pipes that are buried just a few inches below the soil can cause expensive and messy damage. For this reason, please do not drive up to any of the cabins in main camp across the grass, and do not drive on the soccer field or back behind the pool. Use the gravel pull-offs for parking. The grounds crew will be given specific instructions on where to drive to complete various tasks. Speaking of grounds crew, one of the perks that you experience while working on grounds crew is the natural AC you experience while sitting in the back of a pickup truck. If you're seated in the bed of the truck, as in the past, you need to be completely seated. We're not riding on the wheel wells or on the tailgate. Backsides need to be completely seated with backs resting against the cab or the rails. The tailgate must be closed, and passengers are not allowed to lean against the tailgate. When you have passengers in the back of the truck, wherever you are driving on camp property, the speed limit is 10 miles an hour. We do not want to bounce equipment or people around or out of the truck. A reminder, to drive campers on and off camp, you must be 21 years or older and have at least 2 years of driving experience. Off-camp driving. If you're driving off-camp, you need to complete the following checklist before departing. Verify vehicle assignment with Caitlin Allen or Sam Wade. Make sure you have the required safety items. Do you remember what they are? Let me help you. A care kit, a fire extinguisher, the transportation pamphlet, and the 3 safety triangles. Check for a spare tire or a tire repair kit. Test the headlights, taillights, turn signal lights, horn, and the windshield wipers. The transportation safety pamphlet that we mentioned before is laminated and stored in the glove box. You'll find lots of useful information on there, including the pre-flight and post-flight checklist, contact information, and emergency accident procedures, and more. It's a guide to assist you on your trips. After you've completed the additional off-camp pre-flight list, you must sign out in the front office. Per American Camp Association standards, program directors and drivers must complete the trip form together in the front office before departing. This includes sharing 2 counselor cell phone numbers per vehicle. One of those should be the driver's, the destination, plus any planned pit stops, what vehicle you are driving, and a list of the passengers in each vehicle. The program director should cross-reference this with the program roster. Everyone must wear a seatbelt while driving off camp. And if a passenger weighs less than 40 pounds or is less than 4 feet 9 inches, they must have a booster seat. Booster seats are available. See the housekeeping director the day before your departure to borrow one. There is no standing or moving in the vehicles. The driver controls the volume level, as we need to ensure that the driver is free of distractions. Let's chat about the co-pilot and counselor passenger responsibilities. Passenger procedures if you're not driving. It's your responsibility to manage your passenger behavior and safety in the vehicle. If you are sitting shotgun, you are acting as the driver's co-pilot. looking out, helping with the campers, ensuring that we've got enough staff for how many passengers are in the vehicles. You are also the DJ for the car rides. Please ensure that the music has appropriate lyrics and themes, consistent with camp standards, and kept to a volume that is not distracting for the driver. You are encouraged not to let outside music take the place of singing camp songs, having conversation with friends, or praying. Familiarize yourself with the transportation safety pamphlet and accident procedures, because in the unexpected event that something happens, you are the driver's partner in caring for the campers. Fueling off camp. The mules are the only vehicles you will be driving that are fueled on camp property. The minivans, pickup trucks, SUVs, 15-passenger vans, minibuses, and the big bus are all fueled near town. We now have a Cedars Camps account at 2 gas stations. The first is the Quick Stop at the corner of Highway B and Highway 32. This is owned by the Mennonites who built Care House and the Gatehouse. We are blessed to expand this partnership. The second gas station is Express Stop further down Highway 32, closer to Lebanon. This is the process to fill up at either station. First, pull up, park, and turn off the vehicle. Press pay inside. Once you are cleared to fuel, go ahead and fill up the tank. While you are actively fueling, please do not allow your passengers to enter or exit the vehicle, creating unnecessary motion. After that, go inside and tell them the pump number and that it is for Cedars Camp. They will ask you to sign a receipt and will give you a copy. Write down that vehicle you fill up and what program you are with for budgeting purposes. Keep the copy in a safe place and give it to the front office when you return home. Vehicle malfunctions. If you notice something is wrong with your vehicle or even questionable, please let me know. Do not assume that we know everything. It is better to confirm an observation with us than to let it pass. If you notice that a check engine light or other lights are on the dashboard, give myself or Lou a call and let us know. If you're having problems with the battery and need a jump, please radio the maintenance team or call myself and one of us will come out and assist you with that. It's best to address the issue right away rather than to allow any issue to get worse over time. Again, if something's not quite right, let me know. You stuck? What do you do if your vehicle gets stuck? I cannot stress this enough. Under no circumstances should you ever try to push the vehicle with yourself, your team, or another vehicle. This is a recipe for disaster, injuries, and more damage. So don't do that. We have better ways to get you unstuck from the muck. If your vehicle has 4-wheel drive, and most of them do, put it into 4-wheel drive and see if you can creep out of there. And when I say creep, I mean creep. Move slowly. If there's dirt, mud, rocks, or water flying, you're burying the vehicle deeper. Stop. It's time to give me a call and we'll assess the next steps. All right, folks, we have just a few more topics. Stay focused. We can get through this. Camper care while driving. If you're on a trip and one of your passengers needs to go to the bathroom or they're feeling nauseous, it is within your training and wisdom to pull over. Find a nice, safe place to pull over. Either you or your co-pilot should assist the passenger with whatever they need. Loop in the program practitioner if the passenger gets sick. For main camp trips, please contact the front office to get a practitioner to support the case. If you need to clean up within the vehicle, pull into the nearest rest stop. Unload the passengers and do a light courtesy cleaning with paper towels and water. We'll do a deep clean once you are back at camp. Consider packing extra trash bags as a proactive measure if you are aware of a passenger with motion sensitivity. Emergency accident procedures off camp. If you're involved in an incident off camp, follow these key steps. Prayerfully address the situation. Allow for a sense of calm control to set the tone. Move the vehicle out of the way of traffic and mark the location using the safety triangles you packed earlier. Have your co-pilot safely remove the campers from the scene of the accident. This may look like ushering campers to a nearby field, or it may be safer to remain in the vehicle. Have them lead hymns or games to address a sense of fear. Contact 911 and attend to any first aid needs with common sense and within your training. If necessary, get the registration, insurance card, and transportation safety pamphlet out of the glove box and exchange the information with the other driver. Finally, call the front office so that we can get a practitioner on the case. At camp, we will coordinate how to get you back to camp safely. Remember, we are all practitioners, and that first line of defense that you affirmed at the beginning sets the tone. To prevent accidents, follow all the instructions we have given you in this video. Practice alertness, spatial awareness, and affirm that you are divinely directed. For each of these vehicles, it is important to be mindful of the blind spots, door operation, vehicle height, especially in low clearance areas, and the turning radius. 15 passenger and bus training. When driving the 15 passenger or larger vehicle, at least one counselor should ride in the rear third of the vehicle to ensure proper supervision and coverage. This includes buses for trips and Cedars Express. For driving after dark, we will have designated seating separating males and females. Please keep exit doors clear of bags and equipment. There also needs to be a counselor seated at each emergency exit and that they are able to open them. Those staff should also be briefed on door operations prior to departing for a trip. Make sure to load and unload campers with the door facing the building. Vehicles that are loading or unloading should also be parked on a flat level surface and away from other hazards. Avoid unloading into traffic or over a steep embankment. In parts 2 and 3 of the Behind the Wheel training, we will be learning and practicing driving and parking these vehicles and talking through different scenarios. You will be fully certified once you have completed Behind the Wheels Part 1 for the mules and vehicle drivers, Part 1 and 2 for 15 passenger and minibus drivers, and Parts 1, 2, and 3 for big bus drivers. Thank you all for committing to safe driving, and we're looking forward to sharing the fleet with you this summer. See you soon.